live or register my camera or anything like this. So again, hi and good morning, and thank you for joining me. I'm Diana Rachel, the voice behind The Spirited Witch, Practical Living for Spooky People. I am the author of books including Hex Twisting and Urban Magic. And I know it is Mercury retrograde shadow today because yesterday our internet went out and it turned out that there was a fiber cable broken for my entire block. So I am working on cellular data right now and hoping for the best. So, hi, good morning. A couple things that I'd like to let folks know that are happening that is just general good information. A lot of people have local elections happening tomorrow, November 4th, in the US. So, if you aren't sure who to vote for, usually one of your local news publications will have a list of candidates. And if nothing else, usually National Public Radio or your local public radio will have some kind of electoral cheat sheet. And yes, you are allowed to take cheat sheets to the polls. You can write down who you want to vote for so you don't have to have it memorized. It looks like a standardized test. It's not a standardized test. And for those of us who would like to, still have some choice in what we read or accurate biology education, it's a good time to get to the polls because it's the stuff in it's the stuff in the local offices that makes the biggest difference in your lives. So the other thing I wanted to bring up before I do my reading, I did pull my card, and because of the card, there is a very fast-acting local virus going around that is definitely shooting right past any immunizations. I don't know what it is, but herbalist advice, if you have an autoimmune disorder, things that people typically take to boost immune systems may increase your symptoms. So try to find things that help you stay hydrated and move through if you are on the autoimmune end, rather than things that inflame your system, since chronic inflammation is usually a common problem with autoimmune disorders. So with that bug going around, mask up without apology. Do what you need to do to stay safe. So with that said, the card I pulled coming out of Samhain weekend, and I know some people are still waiting for the 2026 write-up, which Samhain weekend is a big deal for me. I actually treat it almost like Thanksgiving in that I am not available during that time. So I set that one aside. I will be coming back to it this week. It's going to be a busy week for me. I'm going to be writing a lot. So the card for this week is the Tower inverted. So again, these are community tarot readings. So this is kind of anyone who happens to show up for this or happens to watch this. Is intended to have some kind of relevance, but I don't necessarily approach tarot as this is what's going to happen, although sometimes there is a predictive quality to it. It is more okay, this is kind of the energy we're coming into this week. So great. What do you do with it? Now, the tower is considered the disaster card, although I have met some responders that really, really like the tower card, like people that work as EMTs or do crisis work, because that is their card, baby. This is where they live. Crisis is where they feel alive. I am not one of those people. I think that most people are not one of those people. Um, but the tower inverted, it does feel like crisis averted. Things are bad right now. And this is not just the US, this is global. I'm aware it is not just a US audience that I have, but this is where I'm from. This is my bias. And I think that anybody who's on any social media where there's US Americans are seeing a fight about whether people deserve to eat or not. It's kind of a mess. I am going to err on the side of everybody deserves to eat and things like basic existence should not have to be earned. The extras, yeah, earn those, but basic survival should not be one of them. And I think that there's a lot of subversion of old paradigms happening, and it's a very painful process because a lot of people took comfort in knowing even if the way it was wrong, it was the way it was and they knew their place in it. The problem is the very concept of knowing your place has become a very unhealthy thing because we are not, at least in this country, supposed to work that way. And so it's been working steadily against us. So what can you do with this? Now, aside from the obvious stuff that I've been talking about, that anyone who does any kind of community care or outreach does, if you are able to locate your food shelves, if you need help, freaking ask. Like, you're not going to make things better by staying silent and suffering silently. But it's also a batten down. Mercury retrograde is coming. I need to check, like, I have to use my phone today because my internet is out. But I would need to check for what the moon sign is today, because that's usually a good guiding principle on Monday, Moon Day, for what the emotional chamber of the week is going to be. But with us going into Mercury retrograde, with Mercury retrograde going through, at least the US kind of counts the holidays as starting at Thanksgiving, choosing to recharge the social battery, choosing, you start looking at holidays and stressing or having those imaginary conversations in your head, if you're doing that a lot, you are probably not in a good place to be peopling for the holidays. If you are stressed about gifts, if you are stressed about everything, it's time to step back and simplify. And Mercury retrograde is a really good time for simplifying. So stepping back and saying, hey, I'm not going to do a whole dinner. I'm going to bring dessert. Or, hey, I don't have it to host this year. I'm sorry if you need to make other plans. Now, for people that plan ahead and do 6 weeks ahead, you're kind of stuck with it, but you can do things to make things easier. Go through them. I'm still a Gen X magazine reader. There are all sorts of ideas for Thanksgiving hacks and for family hacks and for annoying family member hacks. And what it comes down to is nurturing yourself is setting boundaries. So what I am suggesting for this week, looking at whatever's going on, because the Tower and the Death are the two tarot cards that are always beyond our control. And I would argue that, why is there light spotting at me? Anyway, along with those, there is the Hanged Man, which is about suffering to learn. If it is right side up, it is beyond our control. If it is inverted, it is totally within our control and we're just being stupid. So the Tower, in any way that it falls, is beyond our control. It is the things that we can't do anything about. So what you have to do then is go, there is a whole lot that I can't do something about. What are the controllables I can control? And one, that is not other people. That is not how your children dress. Please be healthier than that. But it is okay, well, I can get up. I can make sure I feel good about how I look today as much as I can. I can go take a shower if that's accessible to me. I can go take something to the food bank if that's accessible to me. I can go sit with a friend that is freaking out about everything right now. Just pick the thing that you have the energy to do, because whatever the heck is happening this week, it is beyond our control, but that doesn't mean we're helpless in it. It just means that there is decisions that have been taken out of our hands, which means that taking decisions back into your hands, what decisions you can make, even if it is okay, social media is stressing me out because everything, everything I'm seeing is horrible, horrible, horrible. Well, remember, the way algorithms work is if you interact with the horrible, you're going to get more horrible. So if you can't quite break a social media addiction, search for things that are less horrible. My favorite is to look for art journaling. That's one of my hobbies that I do on the side. Or looking up herbal recipes, or there is a reason that cooking blogs are a forever thing. There is the Spoony Chef on Substack. I really recommend that one if that's something you'd want to explore. And it's also about talking. And I love that one because it talks about cooking when you have chronic illness, when you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle and your body is just not there with you. So look for something in all of the chaos that is nourishing to you, that is nourishing to your community, whatever that means. And nourishment is not just food, although food is important right now. Nourishment is also things that soothe your nervous system, that give you a moment of enjoyment. I know there's a lot of people going, with all these bad things, how can you enjoy yourself? Well, you have to. This isn't just an act of rebellion. It's an act of being able to function. And if you are stuck in the negative all the time, That's not a virtue. I don't know what that is, but it's not healthy. So feel the real feelings, but also allow a little bit of the good in, because that is what you need to offset everything else you might be struggling with. So that's what I've got for this morning. And thank you so much for taking the time with me. I noticed a few new faces have joined, and I'm always happy to see people. I almost didn't get out of bed this morning myself, and my spouse has the day off work and kind of nudged me out of bed going, come on, you enjoy doing these things. This is important to you. I'm like, fine, fine. So the first of the month tarot, I also have, so I run the Spirited Witch Substack, Practical Living for Spooky People. And I also have a Patreon for the Spirited Witch. And on the first of the month, every Monday, I do a 3-card draw live on the Patreon at 9 p.m. And the first of the month one is always free to the public. And I do allow interaction. Basically, I'm Wild Stallions religion for the Bill and Ted fans. It's basically be excellent to each other, or I kind of follow my business partner Nikki's guidelines of don't be a dick. So if you want to come hang out and comment, wonderful. I did notice someone last week asked me to do a reading on Prince Andrew, and I was thinking about how I could approach that, since all of the readings I do, I want people to be able to use. This is what I do is, if you're going to get a tarot reading with me, I want to make sure there's some kind of actionable information for you. And I'm trying to figure out what would be actionable about Prince Andrew. And I think it's okay, he had consequences land. So what would be necessary for consequences to land elsewhere? And you know what? What the heck? I don't have a schedule this morning aside from working on my next book proposal. So I'm going to pull a card. Oh, I do need to get new copies of this deck. What would be necessary for making consequences land for the rest of the people on that ugly little list? And I have got Mother Wind inverted. And so, again, I am a spirit worker. I look at things through a lens that would terrify a lot of people, but this is a way of getting things done when all of the practical options have been run through. And we have been running through all the practical options, at least here stateside. So Mother Wind inverted, this would be Mother of Swords inverted. This is, I don't particularly like the concept of feminine and masculine energy, but what I'm reading, this is very literally in my intuition, is call their dead mothers and tell them what they did and ask the dead mothers to handle it. So there are ways to do that, but I imagine that given that these were not healthy people, their parents were probably not healthy people, generational trauma leads to such things. So finding the ones that are healthy enough to handle this without necessarily being healed and whole. But apparently the way we're going to get it right on this is on the Epstein list is to basically call their ancestors on them and say, you want to get things right for your family, you need to get things right with your descendants. Because right now, at least where I'm living, the rule of law is not so much a thing anymore. So I guess that's where magic comes in, is when everything else isn't quite working right. And yeah, I am an expert in curse breaking and justice magic, so that is a thing. So hopefully that answers what I can answer about that. For those that don't pay attention to the royal family, and generally I don't, Prince Andrew was stripped of his title by King Charles, so I'm like, okay, as far as I understand about that family, at least that is an action I genuinely respect. So awesome job. So tonight I will be on after 9 p.m. on the Spirited Witch Patreon. And yes, I am available for readings one-on-one. I usually have more coffee in me by the time I do them. And thank you for hanging out with me. It's kind of been a weird morning. Like, a fiber cable broke in my block yesterday afternoon. So I am working with no internet and a lot of tethering. And, may the powers that be kind to my data in this weird Mercury retrograde month. So thank you so much for hanging out. There will be an email this evening. So for those that are new, what I do with these lives is I don't just post them. I do a write-up with keywords. So for people that are studying tarot, you can look a little bit through the lens that I look at tarot and use that to incorporate with whatever other tarot studies you are doing, along with my comments and interpretations. And I do post a transcript for the hearing impaired, so you can kind of go through and go, oh, she really did say that, because, stuff comes out of my mouth. So thank you again. And I so much appreciate y'all spending the time. Have a great morning.